Roll call, please.
Ms. Chekai?
Yeah.
Dr. Lee?
Yeah.
Mr. Malkin? Mr. Mizlinski? Mr. Pallet?
Here.
Mr. Schwartzmeyer?
Here.
Excuse me, Ms. Arugavelli? Mayor O'Keefe?
Here. Okay, welcome everyone to our December 3rd, special meeting, the Borough Council. Public comments, let's see, residents and taxpayers of the borough are permitted to comment on current matters of concern or agenda items, which are before council this evening. If you'd like to address the Borough Council this evening, we ask that you please stand on the microphone, give your name, clear your last name, give your address, so you will properly identify the minute record. Each speaker is going to be limited to 5 minutes. And alternative written comments can be submitted to public comments at borough.us prior to 12 noon Eastern time on Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025, in order to consider it as being. Let's see, please include December 3rd public comment as a subject of your email and include your name and address so you're probably identified for the record. Were there any emails?
No emails.
Okay, are there anyone signed up to speak? Anybody want to speak? Well. No, okay, seeing as there are none old business, there is no old business, on to new business, motion number 1.
Move that the annual budget for the year 2026 be approved and made available to the public in the general office during normal business hours and on the borough website.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Against? Abstain? Motion carries. Mr. Young, would you summarize ordinance number 694-2025?
Certainly, this is ordinance number 694 of 2025. It is an ordinance of the Borough of Franklin Park, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, levying and assessing taxes for general and specific purposes for the year 2026. Ms. Cromer, has this been advertised for potential action this evening?
Yes, it has.
Motion number 2.
Move to enact ordinance number 694-2025, establishing the 2026 millage rate at 2.590 mils and continuing all other existing taxes and rates for the year 2026.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartzmeyer, go ahead.
Mr. President, can you do a roll call vote on this, please?
Yeah, that's fine. Roll call vote.
Ms. Chekai?
Yes.
Dr. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Malkin?
Yes.
Mr. Mizlinski?
No.
Mr. Pallet?
Yes.
Mr. Schwartzmeyer?
No.
4 votes yes, 2 votes.
Yep, motion carries.
Okay, motion carries. All right. Summarize.
May I have a few minutes?
Yes.
We, in our October budget hearing, it became pretty clear that this tax increase or something similar, or some pretty serious budget cuts were going to be necessary. We're all familiar with the budget situation. We know this has been going on for a couple of years. And we knew that this year, finally, no more Band-Aids were going to be available. We had to make some serious cuts, and we know what those cuts would look like, right? It would be staffing cuts. They would be selling property that the borough residents told us they wanted in a comprehensive plan. Those cuts would be police regionalization. Those cuts would be continuing to cut paving and public works. By my count, we've had at least 6 meetings since that October 1st budget, that first October budget meeting. And we've discussed this and we've discussed possible alternatives. And to my recollection, at every one of those meetings, I asked, do we have an alternative? Do we want to look at cuts? Do we want to look at a smaller tax increase? And no one suggested anything. So to come here tonight and vote no, having the opportunity to offer an alternative at least 6 times, I find frustrating and counter to what my experience has been on council so far. We have had discussions in general, and not talking about this issue, but in general, we've had open discussions, we've had deliberations, we've had disagreements, we've offered alternatives. And we all know not passing this or not passing something similar to this what that would look like. It would look like those draconian cuts that I mentioned a moment ago. So to vote no is well within your right and your responsibility if you think it's not the right thing to do. But I find it frustrating to come and vote no without having offered any alternatives and having every opportunity to do so.
I'd like to respond, Mr. President. I understand what your point, Laura. My viewpoint is that it's not really my decision. It's not my decision to make. I think this is a vote that should happen in January. But for all logistical reasons, so I don't really know, and I'm comfortable with that.
Yes, I've been councilman for the last 6 years and, I have known that our, financial situation, doesn't look as good as some people, have pictured. So this time if we don't do anything soon, and we are getting into big trouble. And, I agree with, Lauren, that I don't know why look and the town and the board and vote to this motion second. And because during the discussion and we have looked at all options that we can have, or all our options on the table. There's nothing that we can do, nothing else that we can do to help the board with the financial, situation. And this is very difficult decision to make. But sometimes, we cannot kick the can down the road. We have been doing this for the last almost, at least for me and for the last 6 years. When Tom and Luke are kind of like in the Borough Council, and they didn't take any action, to help with the financial situation. So that's why it's getting worse and worse each year. And soon, and if we don't take any action, and somehow maybe the state government will take control of our situation, and a lot of public service will be cut off, and the picture definitely doesn't look good. So I'm glad that finally we can take some action to help and to make sure that the borough will remain the best and the community in this area. So this is why I'm voting for this one.
Just real briefly, this was 2 votes we took this evening. The first one was to approve the budget, which, I did vote in the affirmative. I believe that the budget is made up of stuff that's crucial to the borough. I don't disagree with anything that was included there to be budgeted. I'm just concerned about this type of an increase. How could we have transitioned into it in a year or 2? Could we have used some short-term financing for something? I mean, this is almost doubling the millage in 2 years. So I do want to commend Laura. We did speak. We've spoken very regularly, and she's a wonderful councilwoman. I'll give her kudos publicly. And I'm just concerned about the magnitude of this increase at this point. But unlike what happened last year with the county, from what I know of that, there was a lot of stuff in there that was not new services. It was huge pay increases and other uses of the money that were not. It could have been postponed or not done in that level of magnitude. But not like the county budget, ours, I believe, is very tight. We have been, as Laura stated, we have been scrounging on the road paving the last 2 or 3 years. We've been trying to pinch pennies all the way along. I just think we've kept the budget, believe it or not, even though it did go up, the budget is really no fluff in it this year. I think one of the things the borough suffers with right now is we have very little construction or building going on. We have the Deerfield,
land over in Nicholson Road. And I think that's only about halfway built. And we have the Cardinal Ridge development right up the road, but we, over the prior years, from, I'll say 2015 to 2020, we had a lot more development going on. And even though development brings in some money, it does bring in some money as it's being done with the fees and the developer costs. They still cost us money to maintain in the future, but our influx of money along that trail has actually declined because the number of new permits and that are really down from what they've been in the past. So we did lose the source of income there. So this is a real tough decision. I think the budget that's passed is a good budget. I'm just concerned about hitting the taxpayers with that increase all at one time. So I don't want anybody to think I'm against what the borough is doing. I'm just not on the Ways and Means Committee, so I just wish there was another way to get to the same means that we did. So thank everybody, and I thank Laura for all the hard work she's done on this.
I'm frankly surprised there were any no votes at this juncture, just like my learned colleague, Ms. Chuckeye. To me, we even floated the idea and put on the November ballot the idea of exploring other ways to fund the budget, including the home rule charter that would have doubled the realty transfer tax, not to the deficit of the existing residents. So there were other solutions here. We even tried to explore them. We tried to offer them to the residents of Franklin Park. It's very frustrating to find a situation where you need to fix the budget, and the only method you have is to do this tax increase that we have calculated here. And as far as whether or not the budget is good, the budget rises or falls based on whether or not it's funded. And this millage rate of 2.590 funds the budget that was voted for and approved. Without the millage rate of 2.59 mils, the budget would have failed. So just wanted to point that out to folks that are examining this tax increase, and I want them to understand exactly the nuts and bolts of how the budget works and how it's balanced.
One
Okay.
more follow comment. The no votes are not an issue for me. If you feel you should vote against this, that's your right and your responsibility. The issue as I see it is the no votes coupled with the lack of alternatives offered at the previous 6 meetings we've had discussing this. Just wanted to clear that up.
And also to pay Mr. Maslowski his due. He said he felt that it wasn't his position to vote on this particular tax increase at all, based upon the fact that he was not going to be a city council person in January. If that's the case, it sounds like his no vote is really just a, I'm going to sit on the side and not vote on this at all because I don't feel that I have any basis for doing so.
Okay, so I just want to provide a comment, like, yeah, obviously nobody wants to go through this, but I'm there to fund our services and whatnot. So I do want to throw out a number there. Based on our budget, we spend about $943 per resident. Marshall, who is our neighbor, spent $1,022 per resident. And, Ohio Township, who we've collaborated with quite a bit, such as a comprehensive plan and whatnot, they spend $1,582 per resident. So we are pretty efficient. We maximize the budget as far as we could. There's only so far you can defer expenses. We've done that. We've exhausted the reserves. I believe a year ago, we wrote a document that kind of explained we use reserves by that last 7 years. So unfortunately, in order to fund an adequate budget, we do have to go this route. So that's that. Yeah, so moving on to the next motion. So, Mr. Young, would you summarize resolution number 1406-2025?
Yes, this is resolution number 1406 of 2025. It is a resolution of the Borough Council of the Borough of Franklin Park, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the submission of a statewide local share assessment grant application in the amount of $269,784 from, to the Commonwealth Financing Authority to be used for the Blueberry Hill Accessible Playground Project.
Move to adopt the resolution number 1406/2025 for the revised submission of the statewide local share assessment grant in the amount of $269,784 from the Commonwealth and Financial Authority to be used for the Blueberry Hill Accessible Playground Update Project.
Is there any discussion? All in favor? Against, abstain. Motion number 3 carries. Just going by agenda, we are not adjourned, right? We're recessing.
No, we separately advertised this, so we have it written down.
Yes.
Yes, we're gonna adjourn this meeting, the special meeting scheduled for 7 o'clock. We will convene again in the work session in the back room, open to the public, immediately thereafter.
A motion to adjourn this part? Okay. We are adjourned for this portion.